Peace, peace, everybody. It is Nikki D here with Inner Worth Wellness. Welcome. Today, we're going to be talking very briefly about what a medical imbalance is. Medical imbalances are essentially when your physical body is out of alignment. When we're out of alignment, different things happen, such as diseases or conditions such as diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer, things of that nature. And so we want to make sure that we're staying tapped in with our body to recognize when we are seeing an imbalance. Because if we can catch the imbalance early, we can help to keep from bigger things happening like these things that I named. And a lot of it actually deals with other aspects of you that is not necessarily physical. Usually it has to do with the mental and the spiritual that helps to lead up to the physical becoming imbalanced. So this is where we have to see what is the root cause of it, okay? What is creating this medical imbalance in my body? For instance, if we looked at somebody who had diabetes, there are two main ways, right? So you can get diabetes because, okay, they say that it is passed down, right? It could be passed down. It could be genetic. Or it could just be the way that you've eaten over the years and it caught up to your body. I have a tendency to believe that it's really all has to do with us. So when things become genetics or is passed down in the family, is generally the ways of how we eat is passed down, which in turn leads to ongoing diabetes, people receiving diabetes in the family. But if we change the way that we eat, okay, and the way that we maintain how we eat, we can really help incorporate a change and break that cycle. Okay. And so I use this as an example because a lot of people, they eat and they eat, and sometimes they're eating for comfort. Okay. It's comfort because maybe they're dealing with a stressful situation that has happened. And they don't know how to deal with it. So they run to the ice cream, the pies, the cakes, okay? Maybe they're loading up on macaroni and cheese and all these good things that turn into really starchy things, and it loads up on sugar in the body. Okay, so we know that the physical aspect of it is what we place in our body helps to create an imbalance of our sugar levels, which creates diabetes, right? But the root cause, which goes beyond the medical imbalance, is that there was a traumatic experience that was created, okay, that created the whole theme of eating lots and lots of sugary foods or foods that is high in starch. And over time, it builds up in the body. Nothing happens overnight. Everything takes time. And so we continue to think that we're fine and everything is good. And then one day, all of a sudden, you find out you have diabetes, right? And so that is the medical imbalance. It's an imbalance because we are imbalanced in the trifecta, which is mentally, spiritually. And when you become imbalanced in those two things, it leads to the third imbalance, which is physically. And so that is what a medical imbalance is, and that is where a medical imbalance comes from, essentially. Like I said, there are some things that are passed down or that are defects and things like that. But for the most part, a lot of the things that we get come from things that have built up over time. And it usually starts with a trauma. Even when we think of people who have high blood pressure, okay, it could easily be that in the family, they use a lot of seasonings, heavy salts, and things in foods. And so eventually, everyone in the family somehow gets diabetes, right? Not diabetes, excuse me, gets high blood pressure, right? However, you can have somebody who is eating, okay, salty foods. And maybe the salty foods is a way that they're coping with a trauma. It happens more than you would believe to or even care to think of. And so how we eat when we're dealing with traumatic experiences is the key point that we need to start to help to reverse or help to understand how we receive an imbalance physically, which is the medical imbalance. And so this is why I find that keeping things like a food journal to be really good. paying attention to how you feel after you're eating foods, okay? What does it make you feel like? Because if you can catch stuff at the beginning of it, you don't have to worry about it building up and becoming a big issue that makes it hard to reverse over time. So we should always be paying attention to our bodies. We should always be paying attention to how are we feeling physically, mentally, and spiritually in one. Because it's a trifecta. When one is off balance, everything else becomes off balance. And as we all become off balance, we end up having things that happen to us that can either become irreversible. It could become so far along that you can't come back from it. And so we want to avoid that. We want to prevent that. So understanding that a medical imbalance is simply your conditions, your diseases, your diagnoses that are coming from the doctors that are essentially, for the most part, not all the time, okay, don't get me wrong, not all the time, but for the most part, come from our lifestyle of how we're eating, what we are doing, the stresses that are being created. Okay. And so it's not always just how we eat, but the stresses that are created, like cancer, stresses can help to create cancers in the body, you guys. So like, for example, if somebody has a liver issue, liver deals with the solar plexus. So it's giving very much anger. It's giving very much, low confidence, low self-esteem. These things are housed in the liver area. And so when we are not handling ourselves accordingly, when we're with different stresses and we get angry all the time and we hold it in and we holding stuff in, okay, or we're not appropriately addressing things, that is when, hey, we're going to start to change up a little bit on you, okay? So the liver starts to become diseased. And so it's saying, pay attention to me. That's why I always say when people have medical imbalances, it's not for you to cuss out the medical imbalance or anything. If anything, you should be saying, thank you for showing up, because now you're become my teacher to help me to understand, what am I not doing? Where am I not showing up in my life? Where is the stress at in my life? How am I actually eating? It makes you pay attention to you and your trifecta. It makes you pay attention to your physical, your mental, and your spiritual well-being. And so essentially your medical imbalance is your teacher. Okay, and the teacher waits for the student to enter the room. So it comes to teach you what you need to learn. And from there, we can choose to bash it. We can choose to learn from it and play around with it until we figure out how to come back from it. But nevertheless, it's simply there to show you things that you are neglecting or not paying attention to, or it's like a 911. It's saying, hey, stop, pause for the cause for a second. What are you not doing? Where are you not showing up? And so I invite you all to start looking at your medical imbalances differently. Start looking at it as your teacher. Some of you have things that can easily be reversed. Others may be further along, but that is fine. But the main thing that comes from this is paying attention to, where is the imbalance? Where am I imbalanced spiritually? Where am I imbalanced mentally? And make those corrections. Okay. Journal. Okay, because it's going to help you to see how you come from point A to point B. It's going to help you to see on paper what is really going on. Okay, so you can learn to dissect and learn to fix and heal some of these things, okay? And so that's what this video is all about, medical imbalances. I hope that you have received a wealth of knowledge here, and we'll look at your medical imbalances a little differently. If you know of anybody who's dealing with a medical imbalance and is having a hard time, have them to watch this video so they can truly understand what it is all about, you guys. Make sure that you subscribe, that you follow for more. You can follow me on my Instagram. I will have all that stuff linked below this video. All right, and until the next time, be a beacon of light to somebody else, okay? Because each one teach one, okay? And we can reach one, and that's just how it rolls. All right, Nikki D here, Inner Worth Wellness. I'm out.